1.
Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with, wait for it, one Josh Engelman. Not since the days of the initial FanVice Awesemo crossover takeover acquisition have we done a podcast together.
Yeah.
Josh, now we've turned our shows into podcasts.
We have.
But technically, this is an official podcast.
Yeah, this is I don't do these all that often. I'm a noted early riser, so I'm usually up and getting stuff ready for the day at like 6:15, 6:30. So to do this every night would probably ruin my marriage.
Yeah, hey, that's really not a lot of favors for mine. But
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. Fortunately, my wife goes to bed early, so this kind of works out, and she knows which nights it is. So she's like, oh, all right, I know you're going to bed early, or I'm going to bed early. You go do what you want. Yeah. So there we go.
I just fall asleep at like 8:30, 8:45. If it wasn't for, so I'll be producing, it'll already be over by the time people hear this, but I'll be producing the PGA Live Before Lock show tonight. So Wednesdays are my like late night where I'm up till 10 and I feel like a child.
Oh, good times. All right, well, we got a split slate here once again, Thursday getaway day. Of course, we are the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast, presenting sponsor of Yahoo Fantasy Sports. Go ahead and check them out. Go check out the Spotlight Hitters and Stacks. In the third paragraph of that article, you will find a link and instructions with the promo code Awesemo on how you can claim up to $30 in matched Yahoo Sports rewards points with your initial DFS deposits. So, Josh, since you're kind of new to this one here, we've turned over a new leaf. At least Adam and I have. Sometimes we'll go game by game if it's a smaller slate, but we've done a game by game. But we focus on pitching, and it's worked out quite nicely because we'll do comparative prices across each of the three sites, give everybody an initial first look. And then a lot of times when we do the pod for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday games, they're getaway days. Yeah. So sometimes you don't know what's going to happen if it's a day game after a night game, et cetera. So it's catch as catch can, and it's a little tricky. So we're focusing on pitchers, and that way we talk about all the pitchers at least once. May throw in a batter or two if there's something obvious. We talk if a pitcher, we don't like a pitcher, we say we don't like him, take lefties or righties, etc. But that's kind of how we do it. So we'll start off here with the 2-game early slate, which is starting at noon Eastern. That would be 12:10. You've got Pittsburgh at Atlanta. It looks like it's going to be in the mid 70s at first pitch. We've got a bit of an 8 to 10 mile an hour breeze going out to left field, and we have a 9 implied run total here as Joe Musgrove takes on Julio Teherán. Julio Teherán made Josh do a double take here.
Yes, he did.
For his price. What are you back? No longer in heart attack mode?
I mean, I would. Why is he 10-8? I don't get it. It's the Pirate. It's not even a good matchup. You can make a case that Joe Musgrove is better than him straight up.
Yeah. Actually, that's relatively fair. So the perspective is on DK, where we got to play 2 of these 4 pitchers. You have Musgrove, who's 6,000, Teherán, who's 10,800, Kikuchi is 5,100, and Michael Pineda is 9,000. That's DK. On FanDuel, Musgrove is 83, Teherán is 86, Kikuchi 63, Pineda 7. Now you only have to play 1 pitcher there. And then on Yahoo, the wrinkle is, of course, once these games go off, you actually get everything through the end of the slate. But Musgrove becomes intriguing at 34. Teherán is adequate at 40. Kikuchi, at 31. Pineda is kind of interesting at 33. Yes. Amongst these pitchers. So just looking at the lens of DraftKings for a moment here, as you're considering what you want to do with the 2 pitchers you're going to take, do you see a pairing that jumps off the page for you in our consolidated, isolated 2-gamer here?
Probably Pineda Musgrove. Not that I have any problem with Julio Teherán, but the Pirates have been a not great strikeout matchup all year. He's priced. If you were playing an all-day slate tomorrow, Julio Teherán is the most expensive pitcher on that. That is insanity. So what would you expect? Even on a 2-gamer on DK, his ownership is going to be criminally low. You're almost gonna have to leave money on the table because it's not as if you're paying up for him and getting an upgrade.
No, correct. I'm just trying to mess around here and see what better things to get. So even if you go with Pineda and Musgrove, you get just shy of 4,400 per player. You could go Pineda and Teherán and get 38 or just shy of 38. That's more of a stretch, but I'm guessing some people will do that. And if you go Kikuchi and Musgrove, you can pick anybody you want, literally.
Let me just make sure I have everything calibrated here, and I do. I have Julio Teherán projected for 14.5 DraftKings points, which is a really weird number to see at the top of a salary tier. I have Joe Musgrove at 12.6. Look, it's a 2-point gap. I get it. There's also a $4,800 gap in salary. That's a full hitter. It's like getting an extra hitter. I can't advocate for Teherán here. He's way too expensive. Now, if we want to talk about where he's priced like a normal pitcher, where he's 8,600 on FanDuel, I think that's way more in play. Especially seeing like Teherán's 8,600 on FanDuel and Musgrove is 8,300. That makes a lot of sense to me. Not the $4,800 gap we have. So for me, my preferred pairing, at least on DK, is going to be Pineda and Joe Musgrove.
All right. On FanDuel, if you were choosing or if you were ranking, I think I would go Pineda for 7, Teherán for 86, Musgrove for 83, and then Kikuchi in the tough matchup against Minnesota at 63. Splitting hairs there with Pineda and Teherán, but I'll take the extra 1,600 plus the extra 25 on the minus 175 to win for the Twins, as opposed to the minus 150 for the Braves.
I have Pineda as, I don't want to say like a pretty clear one, because I don't think that any of these 4 pitchers are like clear ones in any scenario anyway. But it would go Pineda for me, then Teherán and Musgrove really close. Mm-hmm. But Teherán, then Musgrove, and then Kikuchi at the bottom. And I think that's probably the easiest piece to look at, the Kikuchi at the bottom piece.
That makes fair. And if you're watching, Sean B., Josh does have revenge in his model, because Pineda going against the Mariners, he was angry how that ended, and he took it out on them earlier this year for a nice game. I'm guessing now that he's going to welcome them to his new town. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Late slate time it is, or main slate, as they say in a more normal world. So we'll go game by game here. We'll touch on each of the pitchers. What do we got? We got 7-gamer here.
8, I think. No, 9. 9, actually.
9. So we got plenty. Well, let's start off with my Washington Nationals. We have Eric Fetty. Do not play him. Going against Zack Greinke. We're looking at a nice day out here in the DMV area. That would be the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. It's going to be in the mid-70s for both the game in DC and Baltimore. So it'll be a pleasant one. No real humidity out here, or at least what we're going to get in a couple weeks. But Zack Greinke kind of stands off the page here, Josh. 9,500, not exactly breaking the bank. There is a handful of discount dandies around the board on DraftKings. So if we want to spend on Greinke, it's not looking like a major issue. Talk to me about how you're feeling for Greinke, and if you're going to target against Fetty, is it righties or lefties?
So Greinke's interesting. He grades out well, but it's a really loaded pitching slate, and no one's really at a price that makes it problematic. So while I like Greinke, 3, 4, 5, he's my 6th pitcher relative to salary. I don't get the sense, if that held right now, that I would have all that much, and I'm kind of okay with that. The Nats are slowly getting scarier and scarier. If I'm targeting against them, it's Matt Adams, it's Juan Soto, it's Turner, Rendon. Like it's the studs here. It's the lefties plus the guys that are, and Rendon, someone that's just good. And then for Fede, I'm just not playing him in any capacity at all.
And that makes sense. Let me see here. Fetty's 31 on Yahoo. No thanks. No real need to go there. I don't even have to look on FanDuel, because I want guys that are going to have a really, really, really good shot of getting the quality start. I don't see that from him. Greinke, 50 on Yahoo, so that's something to keep an eye on. And then I closed the FanDuel prices because I'm not smart, but there we go. Oh, he's 95 on FanDuel. What did I say? What's DraftKings? Oh, 93 on DraftKings. Okay, so they're relatively the same there, but we'll get to some other pitchers on FanDuel. I don't like it. We'll have to see where ownership kind of congregates, because he is someone that I think in a tournament I would not mind if we get somebody in the 20 to 30% popularity range there, perhaps on FanDuel, a deGrom, potentially a David Price, a Matt Boyd, etc. That would be when Greinke really comes into play.
Yeah, much more likely for me to be a pivot than my first choice.
All right, let's move on here. We kind of hinted at it, but it's Baltimore. Toronto taking on Baltimore for their third and final game of this series. You have Marcus Stroman going against, or was that the fourth? Marcus Stroman going against Gabriel Ynoa. And wow, FanDuel says, you know what, Kevin Biggio, not going to worry about who your dad is. I don't care that he's a Hall of Famer. I'm pricing you at $2,700.
Yeah.
Vlad Guerrero, same deal with you. You're going to be $3,000. I don't care that you guys are batting 1-2 at the top of the order these days. We're going cheap with you. Goodness gracious. That is going to be your most popular stack on FanDuel, because these guys literally average what? About 2,800 per batter.
Yeah.
Yikes. So that means we're going to potentially have Ynoa as a leverage option. And that's about all we're going to give that consideration to right there. I did that with Hess last night, and I'm fine with it. But, yeah, I don't think we need to do that with Ynoa. What do you want to do here with Stroman? Master of the ground ball, doesn't get a ton of strikeouts. Baltimore carrying a 4.2 implied run total here in this one. And they strike out, if I remember correctly, it's about average.
This projected lineup that I have in here is significantly above average. If they've got Keon Broxton in there and Chris Davis, Chance Cisco K's a lot. But Broxton and Chris Davis in particular, obviously well known for preposterously high strikeout rates.
It's funny how much it on Fangraphs it changes when you forget to click the active roster. Yeah. They went from about a mid-tier 20.8% strikeout rate with everybody that had appeared for them to where if you just take their active roster, they jump up to fourth with the 24.8%. Yeah. So, they've had some strikeouts there.
They do.
So Stroman is always intriguing. I like him in this one. It's relatively, with the weather the way it is, relatively a similar stadium to the Rogers Center, which is generally favorable to batters as well. And these will both play, equally to each other. So I don't think it's a downgrade that they're in Camden Yards by any stretch. But Stroman, I think, is going to be a part of my life on the two pitcher sites. What's your initial inkling there?
He's a guy that I rarely get to just because he's a much better real-life pitcher than he is a fantasy pitcher. He rarely just racking up the strikeouts that you want. But his price is nice, and you're not going to find many better strikeout matchups than this particular Orioles team. Now, the park isn't great. It certainly plays to hitters. My problem with Stroman is basically just I like a guy that bookends him on both sites, and it's two separate people. I prefer Jack Flaherty to Stroman on DK at similar prices, and this one will be I'll probably be on an island here. I prefer John Gray to Stroman on FanDuel, even though Gray is pitching in cores. If I ended up with Marcus Stroman, I would not freak out because all of the other signs of this are perfect. I would be very surprised if I had much, if any.
I can live with Gray in cores because he'll be facing a relatively righty-heavy Padres lineup. So, and I do way too many shows with one Adam Ship My Money Sharer, who is a fan of all pitchers with the last name Gray. So that's sort of, if I've got to hear it from him, every time one of them is pitching, I sort of become a believer in what they're doing. But we'll get to that one soon enough. Any mention at all for Ynoa here?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you don't really want to go there. I had written him up last time. Let me see if I can think of any notes here for him. Marginal minor league stuff. He is actually a major league pitcher. I don't mind that. I think he actually belongs. I think he's better than David Hess by just a skosh. But
speaking of, how's that going for Hess right now?
He's doing well. He has not a lot of base run. He's now run his this is start number 6 for him. Knock on wood. He now has 27 innings against Toronto in his career in the last 370 days. Josh, he has allowed 2 runs, both on solo home runs. Just throwing that out there. That is PVB is what we're talking about there.
God. Oh, he had them. Let's see. Walk. He had them loaded, I think. Yeah, they were loaded, and he got out of it. He struck out Grichuk. Lovely. Blue Jays are my most exposed stack today.
All right. Well, just say it. Saying, gotta believe in David Hess. Only against one team. The rest of the league, he's got a 6.6 ERA and a 1.7 WHIP. So throwing that out there. But back to the slate on Thursday. I think that's going to kind of hit it there for these pair of games there by our nation's capital. Let's move along here. We're going down to Tropicana Field, where you have Tyler Skaggs and the Angels coming in to take on Ryan Yarbrough and the Rays. There is a chance one or both of these teams will put an opener in there. They're sort of doing it indiscriminately there in Anaheim. They've started now doing that in Seattle as well. It's because these pitching staffs are not that great, so they're trying to prop them up and get them started on the six hitter if they can. But we don't have a implied run total here for this one. Skaggs is 78 on FanDuel. We have Yarbrough at 69.
Nice. Yes. Sorry, I had DraftKings up in front of me, and he was 68, and I was just I'm confused.
It's not quite as
so
nice.
It slowed me down. But yes, very nice.
So 82 for Skaggs on DK, 68 for Yarbrough, and then
I owe you one on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
I was 68.
My wife hates when I say that, so how about a 68? I'll owe you one. Yeah, not fun times when I say that, but it's still funny to me. So
agreed.
Tyler Skaggs is 35 on Yahoo. That is an intriguing price point. Yarbrough at 29. I'm okay with either of those guys there. That's some nice savings. I don't even mind if they're not starting because Yahoo, you don't have to worry about the quality start. All you care about is if they sort of qualify for the win. The one concern here with Yarbrough is if I don't even know if he's doing well or not. Depending on how they feel, he will get the quick hook or he may go 90 pitches. That makes it very, very dicey with him. In his last 5 games, he's gone 110, 92, 53, 99, 74. The 99 and 74 were at home, and that's in the AL Park. So it's not like he was lifted for a pinch hitter or a double switch or anything like that. So just keep that one in mind. I don't have any real lean for either of these guys as much on DK, but Yahoo just becomes a little more intriguing for that extra savings.
Yeah, Yarbrough stands out at $29 as a potential pay down option. I could see myself getting a couple shares of him at 68 on DraftKings, certainly not rostering him on FanDuel. It's an okay strikeout matchup against the Angels, depending on who's in the lineup. As of right now, what I have when it's LaCroix and LaStella and Pujols and Fletcher and Trout, it's a terrible, terrible strikeout matchup. But sometimes the Angels flip and it jumps from like an 18% K rate team to like 23. And you don't see it until the lineup comes out. I assume I will have very little, if not zero, Yarbrough just because it's really hard to find a K against the Angels.
Who is it that makes it flip that much? Is it when they put Bohr in the lineup for anybody?
Yeah, and
that'll do it. And
who's the other catcher? Fletcher leading off is really troublesome.
Right.
Anytime he's not there, which like 2 nights ago, I think they pulled him out of the lead, or was that last night that he was out of the lead?
Last night he didn't play last night, and they had Torvis or something like that.
Yeah. As soon as you get the 10% K rate guy out of the leadoff spot, it immediately changes things for the better, just because he's the guy that you expect to get the most amount of plate appearances in a game. And if that's a guy that just does not strike out, all like Willie and Zestudillo, it's not going to be helpful for racking up the Ks.
Right. Right. So just call out there there's a lot to do with lineup composition. That's why you see us, particularly here on Live Before Lock, waiting until we do our final lineups, because things can really change. And a lot of times it is Padres are doing weird things or not weird things, but they're inconsistent with their lineups with who they play. I mean, people go from 3rd to 7th, and all of a sudden you got random lefties that they barely have any of inserted against other lefties. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? The Angels are similar because perpetually someone's dinged up there, and we get that information late because they're usually one of the last teams to start. So that's one of the reasons we wait on this, because it can tweak things just enough there. But this one is in Tropicana Field, so this favors the pitchers more so than anything else. Let's see, our next matchup here, we have the Cardinals at New York taking on the Mets at Citi Field. Looks like we might have some potential precipitation in the area. This is the only game right now that even comes close to showing that. Maybe a tiny bit in Boston as well, but that looks like it's just, again, in the area. So that, of course, can dissipate or never actually materialize. considering we are about 20 hours out from first pitch here. So keep an eye on that up until lock. But we have two pitchers we're really going to want to talk about here.
Yeah.
A $7,300 Jack Flaherty on DraftKings against a $10,400 Jake deGrom. If only there was someone I could make a 10-4 good buddy joke with here that was around in the 70s like me. Sadly, there is not. But deGrom at 10-4, he's up 1,000 from each of his last three starts. Still down 1,000 from where he was 1 month ago when he took on the Miami Marlins in Miami. But 10,400 even against the Redbirds feels like a pretty solid price point, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is with a bullet my number one pitcher across all three sites. It's not close. He will be my most exposed pitcher, barring any weather concerns. I have him projected right now for 9 strikeouts. The next closest guy is Clayton Kershaw at 7.2. They're the only guys above 7. deGrom's just on another level, and he's not even the most expensive pitcher on the slate. So he's behind. He's not even the second most expensive pitcher on FanDuel. He's behind Boyd and Kershaw on FanDuel. He's behind Boyd on DraftKings, and he's tied with Boyd on Yahoo. But none of it matters. He's the best option by far. I know the Cardinals are scary, but Jake deGrom is a top 5 pitcher in baseball, all told. I don't really worry too much about the offense then. So yeah, deGrom for me all day, so long as we don't have to worry about weather.
Right. And then on the other side, Flaherty at 7,300. That's quite intriguing against the Metropolitans here. He has 79 on FanDuel. I still think you can consider him there because it is the Mets. The Mets are carrying a 3.8 implied run total. The Cardinals themselves are at 3.3, but that doesn't impact the quality start, which is where the points really come in there on FanDuel. So 7,900, he would be in my plans there. And then on Yahoo, he is at 40. Becomes a little tougher to consider him at 40. But if you were to do a Stroman Flaherty pairing, that wouldn't be horrible. We'll talk about John Gray, but pair him with Flaherty, and all of a sudden you've got some really good flexibility with your hitters. You can get in on that action with the batters where you want it to be. On the other hand, if you're going with deGrom on Yahoo, you may want to go all the way down to Gray or potentially Yarbrough. So you're going to be wanting to either skimp or find a couple $7 hitters, which also is possible. And the one thing about Yahoo that you do want to remember is even though you can stack 6, which is more than any other site, they don't have any position flexibility. Almost always for the American League teams, you're making a choice because someone's doubled up at a position.
Yeah.
Either first base, or the case of the Brewers, second base usually if they've got Sean Moustakas in. The Dodgers, it varies at all the time, but at some point, Muncy, Taylor, and Kike are all second base eligible. It's like, well, how the hell am I going to stack if 3 of them played one position, guys? That's not how it works.
Right.
So it gets a little, you have to be a little more discerning there. But the thing is, the way they're scoring does not reward stacking quite as much. But if you go with the 6-man stack, hardly anybody does that because they aren't disciplined enough to just say, look, this is how I'm going to build the rest of my lineup to make this work. And they hear the siren song of some of the chalkier players, and that's where they end up. So it's a nice differentiation play. I don't think the leverage is quite there for the 6-man, but it's a differentiation, and you get damn near everybody out there swinging a stick. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's also helpful too. So
yeah, it's hard to miss the guy that goes off on Yahoo. If you do, you're really grumpy.
Yes, very, very true. But back to our little task at hand. I think Flaherty and deGrom are probably going to be 2 of the 5 most popular pitchers on every site.
Yeah, I love Flaherty, particularly on DraftKings. He is my clear quote unquote pay down option. I know 73 is not that far down. He's actually my 5th pitcher relative to salary, and when you get that sort of rank and you're that far down the salary tier, I end up with quite a bit. I've been projected for 6.5 strikeouts. That's a lot more than most of the guys here. FanDuel's a little bit more of a tough sell because he's kind of just in a no man's land. I like a lot of the guys that are above him. I like Gray a little bit more than him, so I'm not sure I would get to him all that much there.
I could see a hand build with that perfect double stack, getting some of the better players.
Agreed.
And going with Flaherty.
Agreed. It's going to take a very specific set of circumstances, but I like him across the board here. Mets project to strike out a little bit more than average. We're in a mild pitcher's park. All the signs are there. It should be a relatively low scoring game. Give me some Jack Flaherty.
All right, moving along here. Now we've got Texas at Boston. Adrian Sampson, David Price. The hell has gotten into Sampson and Ariel Jurado?
What has gotten into their prices?
Their recent results, Josh.
I guess.
So Sampson is 8K on FanDuel. He is 7,000 on DK, where, by the way, in his last 16 innings across his last 2 outings, he has 2 earned runs allowed, 2 solo shots. Somehow he has 18 strikeouts. Let's see. He has 53 strikeouts on the year. 18 of them have come. So almost a third of them have come in his last 2 starts. That's just crazy. Is this a mirage? Has something clicked and changed? Because I have been saying bad things about the Texas soft tossing righties that don't really get anybody out, not necessarily allowing a ton of power, but a boatload of contact. How the hell is this duo missing bats as much as they are?
Pure luck is what I would go with. I will not have a single share of Adrian Sampson on any site whatsoever.
Okay. I don't think that's a bold take, because that's been my take every time, even the last 2 games. I have egg on my face, but no one's really playing him. Perhaps this is when we get the implosion game, because the old rule, you can't have 3 good starts in a row. That's tried and true.
3.5 strikeouts is what I have him projected for. That is dead last.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's mirage, but that's a Lofty and Adam task to dig into that. On the other side, David Price, 9,800 there on FanDuel. On DK, he is 9,700, and then he is the third. Let's see, he's sixth most expensive pitcher on Yahoo, but he's 44. So the 44 price tag becomes somewhat intriguing. Texas, never an easy team to go against, but they do have. Depending on which lefties they put in the lineup, like Rougned Odor, who is good enough, and that's all they have really against lefties, he strikes out a ton. We've got Price that has gone 6 1/3, and 6 in his last 3 starts. He is averaging 99 pitches per outing in those starts. He's allowed 3 total earned runs. Those came against Tampa Bay, at New York, and Cleveland. I mean, 2 of those 3 teams are, of course, former teams of his, so I'm sure he was really up for it. Too bad we couldn't get Toronto in there as well. How do you like him against Texas? I think he's in play.
Oh, he's very much in play. He's my third
I'm just
favorite.
waiting for the inopportune injury, Josh. It always seems we get that.
It does.
David Price. The music stops usually when I'm finally pushing those chips in, baby, and oops.
He grades out really well. The problem is on FanDuel, he's $400 cheaper than Jake deGrom, and Jake deGrom is a much better pitcher than him. I have him pretty similar to Greinke, both on FanDuel, on DraftKings, where they're at on Yahoo. On Yahoo, I would rather have Price. They're too big of a gap in price, literally. $50 to $44 for David Price. The lineups that come out and the line movement that happens for the Nats and for the Rangers will tell the biggest story for me, because right now I have them as very similar, and how if they separate from themselves, that'll be the direction that I go. I see them as relatively comparable options, and I find it really difficult to separate the 2.
It'll be fun.
Would you rather have Greinke or David Price? It's just off the top of your head on DraftKings.
David Price.
Okay. I agree, but it's
which
close.
Which means he's going to hurt himself. So. Oh, there we go. Cause and effect. I'm taking him, therefore you will get hurt. Next game is going to be really interesting. On DK, you have Matt Boyd at 10,700 taking on Homer Bailey at 5,200. Detroit Tigers actually favored by 140 money line here in this one. 4.6 implied run total for the Tigers. You have 4 for the Royals. It's going to be, 69 degrees. There you go.
Nice. That's a nice
Homer Bailey is in play on DK. This is the perfect matchup for him. He is the second most inexpensive pitcher. There are a dozen hitters priced higher than he is. As long as he does not implode and can at least flirt with double digits, 5,200 feels like a decent price tag. He did have this matchup back on May 4th and did rather well. Made it 6 innings, allowed 9 base runners, and let's see, what did he get for strikeouts? He had 4 strikeouts. Yep, four strikeouts. So nothing exciting, but at 5,200, you can do a lot with your hitters. Is this a tournament play for you to unlock some other potential upside?
It is not. No Homer Bailey for me. I'm more likely to play Tigers bats probably than I am to roster Homer Bailey. I just don't see myself going much lower than Jack Flaherty tomorrow unless we get some really significant changes. I'm just not really much of a Bailey guy. And honestly, just keeping it, I can keep this going. I don't get the sense that I'll have more than 1 or 2% Matt Boyd. I just don't want to play him when he's more expensive than guys that I think are better than him.
And that I would agree with wholeheartedly for that one there. Even though the Royals do have a 4 implied run total, they are still relatively dangerous. And then keep in mind, check and see who is behind the plate there for Detroit. They've got a couple guys that do not hold runners very well. I think it's Grayson Griner that basically allows 1 stolen base every start behind the plate. I haven't looked that up in a little bit, but that he's one of the guys, but he doesn't start every day. So you got to kind of pick your spots there. But Kansas City's still leading the league in steals. They've got Adalberto Mondesi, Whit Merrifield, Billy Hamilton steals when he gets on, so that they can come at you from different directions, and it's definitely part of their game plan. So keep that one in mind for some potential hidden points, especially on that 8:00 slate. Continuing on, the New York Yankees are going to be in Chicago, taking on former teammate Ivan Nova, who is 4,400 on DraftKings. I didn't know we were going below 5K. So they're breaking out the special pricing for him. What did they do? 25 on FanDuel. We do have Coors. For some reason in my head, I thought I got that confused. Sorry, I was thinking Coors was on the earlier slate, even though we talked about John Gray. So there is the potential. So I want to circle back. So for Homer Bailey, there is the potential that you want to get some big bats in there at Coors. That would be the easiest and most direct path to do it, would be looking to Homer Bailey, still taking one of the top end guys like deGrom, and then getting those bats. You could really get a nice double stack if you went to Wendy's, where they have the double stack. But I'm assuming that's where, I haven't had one, but I think that's Wendy's. In any event, you can look to like a Jack Flaherty Bailey pairing and really go to town. So that's the boom bust option. But we do have Coors on slate. Now, we don't have Texas in the heat, and we don't have a couple of our other usual favorite spots to go. So things could be very concentrated in Coors Field. So that, is a reason to perhaps not go there. We'll get to that game soon enough. But back to this one. Ivan Nova at 4,400 against the Yankees. I don't care who he is. I don't want 4,400 Ivan Nova. There's no strikeouts for him, which is the problem.
Well, there's no talent for him either. So there's that. Yeah, I'm no to Nova. Say no to Nova. That would be my political slogan.
He has had in his last 6 starts, 1 game has he had more than 3 strikeouts, and he had 6 against Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pass.
That's just not helpful.
No.
I'm a little more afraid of, so you're saying, well, why are you talking about Homer Bailey? Well, I'm more afraid of the Yankees bats than I am the Detroit bats.
As you should be.
Which is where I get to Homer Bailey, who, by the way, has, at least he usually gets 4 strikeouts a game. He doesn't really get more than 4. No. He usually gets 4.
All depends how many home runs he gives up along with those strikeouts.
Yes, indeed. But that's a whole lot of. What do you want to do with J.A. Happ? 8,700 going against the White Sox here. Let's see how they do against lefties. They are 17th with a 92 WRC plus, and they strike out at 26.3% of the time. I bet I do not have the active roster button clicked, so let's click that and go back. But I know that they're not great. 24% of the time is their strikeout rate, 99 WRC plus. So not bad, not great. Talk to me about J.A. Happ. He will probably be one of my guys on the 8:00 slate. Not that we have that many choices, but I think I would go to him over Boyd for the $2,000 savings.
Yeah, he's just a guy for me tomorrow. Yeah. He's fine. Like, he's not a guy that I would – he's like a step-down version of Greinke, I guess. I'd rather have Greinke. I'd rather have Price. I'd rather have John Gray, who we're about to get to. I'd rather have Flaherty, Kershaw, deGrom. And after I name all that many guys, I'm kind of running out of pitching ownership. But if you're a fan of J.A. Happ tomorrow, by all means, I mean, you're getting him against a lackluster White Sox team that does project to strike out more than average. All the signs are there. There are just, to me, better signs for other pitchers. But there's nothing wrong about Happ's matchup outside of the fact that it's in Chicago and it's a little bit of a hitter's park.
All right. That makes it easy. Moving along here, 2 more to go. The vaunted San Diego Padres in Coors Field, 11.5 implied run total, 5.2 going to the Pod Squad, 6.3 going to the Rockies. Matt Strom taking the mound, the lefty, against the Rockies. He is 9,200 on DraftKings. 9,200. I just, out of principle, I'm not taking someone that's 9,200. Not Apex Clayton Kershaw, not named Apex Clayton Kershaw in Coors Field. I just can't do it. He's 99 on FanDuel.
You have Strom for this one?
Yeah, he's 33. I'm seeing 2 different ones. I'm seeing Strom and I'm seeing Margevicius.
Yeah, I had Margevicius in here, but I'm seeing Strom on the on MLB.com.
That's where I was going to go next.
MLB.com has Strom.
That's the one I usually default to. They are usually the slowest to make changes to announce pitchers, and they leave the TBD, but they usually don't react until after a transaction has been made. So if they're going with...
So Strom's coming off the DL? Is that legit? Now that note is from 6-5, so he might already be off. Now he pitched last on June 2nd, so he'd be off of 10 days. The quote from AJ Casavel of MLB.com was, Strom is not expected to spend much longer than the minimum 10 days on the injured list with a rib strain.
And they did it retroactive to June 3rd. So, because he last pitched on June 2nd. So this would be 10 days.
Yeah. I mean, here's the really easy thing to say. Right. We're not playing Strom or Nick Margevicius in Coors, correct?
Correct.
Okay. They can run out, unless they're bringing out who's an old Padres starter that would be good. Jake Peavy? Unless they're pitching Jake Peavy tomorrow, I don't think it's going to matter all that much.
Clayton Richard?
Sure.
Andrew Casher? All right. So, yes, it's going to be a no for me, dog. A little pitchy. But John Gray, John of the Grays, 8,300. He is relatively that's a fair price point. He is intriguing. He does have strikeout upside. Even in his last game in New York, where he wasn't that great, giving up 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 8 hits, that didn't help him. He had 8 strikeouts. At home against Toronto, it was 7. At home against Arizona, 2. On the road in Pittsburgh, 8. On the road in Philly, 8. At home against the Padres. Hey, that sounds like a familiar matchup. He had 8 in 6 innings. So we're looking at some solid strikeout numbers on the year. He's carrying a 4.3 ERA, 1.3 WHIP, and he is striking out 83 across 78 innings. So that is about 1.1 per inning. I'm with you. I'm good on John Gray. People are getting a little bit smarter about this. And taking some of these guys in Coors and willing to embrace more risk as the lesser players are really not out there quite as much and in force as they once were in the DFS world. Yeah. So you have to get a little bit different and understand how to embrace the variance of an entire season worth of baseball. And things that feel uncomfortable to you are going to feel uncomfortable to pretty much everybody.
Yep.
And yeah, you don't want to take a pitcher in Coors Field. That's been drilled into you forever. But in the right situation, and it's a price per dollar play, you can. And this is a spot where we can do it on the 2 pitcher sites. I would not do it on FanDuel on the full slate.
I will be doing it on FanDuel on the full slate.
Oh, okay. Mic drop. Here you go. Take her away.
Yeah.
Guest host, take her away.
I'm certain. I expect to be over the field on John Gray everywhere. People just sort of don't. In my opinion, people don't play these guys enough. It's not like every game that's played at Coors is like it's played on the moon and it's 15-14. John Gray's plenty experience with pitching in Colorado. Padres strike out a lot. They're a very righty-heavy team no matter really what they do. I just want to have him, as long as he's not getting like crazily owned, as long as no one wakes up to it and thinks they're going to have a ton. But at 7,500, given everybody else that's out there, what would you expect his ownership to be? It's not going to be more than like 6%, 7% on FanDuel. I will probably have double that. I don't get the sense that it's going to be much at all at 8,300 on DraftKings. It wouldn't shock me if I ended up in like the 15 to 20 range. I try not to pay attention to it at all, because while it is scary, and you're right, like it's going to be scary to everybody. I'm just more willing to do it, I think, than most.
What is the name of the tournament that you and Jake like to play over there on FanDuel?
The Beanball.
The Beanball. And what are the parameters of that one? 20? Is it a 20 max?
It bounces around. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 25.
Thank you, FanDuel, for always be consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, it's never. It's always different. It's always different.
Do they change the name of it?
Yeah, it's always the Beanball.
Oh, it's not the Super Beanball or the Beanball with queso. I don't know.
It has not been yet, but yes, it is the Beanball, which Jake picked up last night. Actually,
I heard that. Are you going to have to? He came into your turf. Are you going to answer in kind?
I mean, he's going to have to win a couple more before it matters. I've already got 3 this season. It's only June 12th, and technically speaking, I consider it 4 because I finished first and second in one of them. So the only person to beat me that day was myself. So I consider that 4 wins.
Self-ponage. There you go. So I've won a bunch of tickets there this weekend. So I've got the Ridiculous Rally, the Supreme Squeeze. I'm assuming that the Ridiculous Rally is on June 30th. I'm assuming that's going to be a really big contest, but I think those tickets are worth $10 each, and I think the Supreme, I think those are $5.55. Not more than that, but I picked up 4 of each on Saturday, and I just want to throw out there, when they're doing their if there's a large full slate that's happening, that's where they set their default lobby to. So if there are 2 shorter slates between whenever that next big one is, you can get in these contests, these ticket contests. They're half full. Yeah. And you still got to beat, they run like 100, you have 50 cents or $1, and they have 100 tickets, and there's usually 800 paying people out of 1,600 or 1,200 or whatever it is, but you're getting a really good deal.
You really are.
And they're top heavy tournaments, but I just run, I don't even run, I see people running trains and stuff. I just put in 1 or 2 lineups in it, and I've been having fun with that, but all of a sudden I got 8 tickets here without even trying. So
I probably need to play more of those like quarter 50-cent dollar satellites that rarely fill.
I'm usually making a team with, the other thing is I'm making a team with 4 minutes or less, and I haven't looked at FanDuel, so I'm hand building it quickly. Sure. So I'm only putting a few shekels, as they say, at risk at a time. But if you were to sit there and be prepared for it, oh yeah, and if you're a good player and you think you got it, run like 10 different five-man trains, and you're going in there for what, that'd be $20 if that. Yeah. Jump in there and do that, and it's if you hit it on one day, all of a sudden you can make some noise in these big tournaments. So just saying, you still got to monetize it, but it gives you a lot of chances.
Absolutely.
We ready for our last game?
Let's close it out.
Finishing off here with the Cubbies in Los Angeles taking on the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw and John Lester, a couple of Southpaws here. Kershaw at 50 on Yahoo, Lester at 33. I have a healthy respect for the Dodgers and generally do not take pitchers against them because they're mostly all healthy at this point. So for me, it's going to probably be no for Lester. I'm tepid with Kershaw. There are other guys I would rather have in these situations. I know there'll be like a 2-game late slate from the Coors Field game and the Dodgers game. I could see if I get around to playing on those. Hey, Jason, what's up, buddy?
I gave him the boot.
Oops, sorry, we went a little longer. I could see getting him there, but on the main slate, I'm not going to have either one of these guys.
So I like Kershaw quite a bit.
Oh boy,
he's my number 2 starter on the entire slate relative to salary. In fact, I don't like that because I'm scared of the Cubs. I think they're good, and they've got a ton of right-handed bats that make me nervous. I'll be muted on Kershaw, mostly because of deGrom. I won't get a lot of Kershaw because of how close they are. But he still grades out really well, to the point where it wouldn't shock me to be over the field because more people also go to deGrom and they're not able to get both guys. But yeah, he's my second favorite pitcher here. Like I said, 7.2 strikeouts in my model as of right now. It's the second highest number of any pitcher on the slate. You are paying up for it. I get it. But I think there's a reason that the Cubs implied total is in the low threes. And Kershaw might not be what he was of old, but he's still a fantastic pitcher.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing you want to do, remember, is the Cubs are coming from Colorado to Los Angeles. They will have not quite 24 hours or just over 24 hours to acclimatize to going from altitude to essentially sea level. It does change the way pitches break. And it changes a few things. And it's usually that first day that you can see a semi-noticeable effect. This is baseball, where if you're off by a micro measure, millimeter, whatever we want to pick, fraction of an inch, it can change everything. So everything's split second. I was listening to a podcast. I'm assuming it was probably something on The Ringer, but they were talking about baseball hitters going against pitchers, and they can't actually see the pitch as it leaves the pitcher's hand. They're actually picking up on visual cues as what the pitcher is doing to where they're deciding where they think it's going to go. But they've done it so many times, and they do have such superhuman reaction skills, but they really can't see the pitch coming out because they have to start their swing before it could register in their mind.
Yeah, it's craziness. It's absolutely crazy. It's so
now,
hard.
once the ball's coming, they can start to see the rotation, et cetera, on it, but they already have to decide which zone they're swinging into and then try to adjust. Okay, they're doing all of that, and now they've just gotten off a plane and they're coming off of 2 or 3 days in altitude, et cetera. Just saying, little variable, not really in the Cubbies' favor.
It's nuts. It's so, I don't know how anybody does it. And I mean, Kershaw's going to be getting by on Guile for a while now. So, like, I don't know. I like him to. I'm really interested to see if there's like a pitching umpire here. It's not something I pay attention to all that much, but I like to see it in spots where I end up over the field on people. And maybe I can get lucky and get that tomorrow.
Yep, and because that's the first game of the series, we won't know what order the pitching crew is going in around home plate, first base, second base, and third. So just for those of you that wonder why you don't get to know it, generally you don't know it until the first game of a series, and then you don't always know what it's going to be, but they usually follow the they do a rotation based upon where they are in that first game as to who gets it next.
Yep.
It doesn't always happen because sometimes someone can be feeling poorly, got poked in the eye, blah blah blah, something. Yeah. And they'll switch it up, but more often than not, once you have that first game, you know what the order's going to be.
Yep.
Funky rules and traditions in baseball.
So weird sometimes.
Get us on out of here because you have more shows to produce.
Yeah, I do. I was about to start getting into plugs, but we don't really have like end of the show plugs, do we?
We just have one. Go to my pinned tweet at EMAC DFS. We're running out, but we have the Fred VanVleet contest there. You go to my tweet, click on that link. You can join the DK Awesemo League from there, and that's where we're posting the contest. We've got one posted now. There's about 11 spots left. It's $1, top 10 paid. It must fill to run. If you win with an Awesemo avatar, you get 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. You need to retweet your screenshot showing the Awesemo avatar. Tag Awesemo, tag me, and we'll email and we'll work with support to get you your 30 free days.
There you go.
Premium content. But if you do not have that avatar, you do not collect the prize.
Get the avatar, everybody. Hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. Give us 5 stars and give us a review on iTunes if you're listening to this in your favorite podcast app. That's the best I could do right now. Those are my plugs.
All right. Or give us 68 stars and owe us one.
There you go. There you go. It was fun. Early Bird is done. Thanks for joining me on this one. Later, everybody.